This morning, I noticed something. You seem to be agreeing on a lot. The end of capitalism, it's, well, we've sold out.
We decided this
yes,
last
yes.
night.
Great. But you didn't decide whether your protagonist wants to live or die. Yours specifically wants to die.
Wants to die, yeah.
And the first sentence here is, I will never die. So what is it? Should we die or live?
But it means you should buy these on a discount, both books together, and you get the full spectrum of human expectation. No? It's a perfect book, Life and Death. But between us, we make Leo Tolstoy.
He was
Leo and Tolstoy.
He was nothing.
No, but that is something. There's something very mysterious about that, because potentially we have independently and without having met before yesterday, we may have written different halves of the same book and answered the whole reason why we live and write. Mm-hmm. Another book may never have to be written again.
Let's hope it isn't.
Not by us, anyway.
I mean, it's different with my books because I don't really write my books. They're outsourced to India for the most part. So when the main character says, I want to live, it's not me. It's this guy Rajiv from Gujaristan, and he really wants to live because his economy is improving. India is a booming country. So I don't want to live either. I'm with him.
Do you have this much fun when you're writing? There's a lot of humor in your books. Do you
Writing's horrible. Writing sucks.
Sucks.
Really
Sucks.
it does.
The worst.
You never ever masturbate as much as when you're a writer.
And sometimes you get paper
Just
cuts
to
because
go
you're
my-
using your own book.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
For how many hours a day do you write?
I know what you're saying. How does one become a Danish citizen? Is that hard?
Yes.
Extremely hard.
I think you have to take a Swede on a ferry, don't you?
I'll do it.
You've already written one book about an empire that collapsed.
Yeah,
And now you're doing it again.
Every empire I live in collapses. Soviet Union, gone. America, almost finished. In fact, the Americans are trying to send me to China to make sure it collapses pretty soon. I just have bad luck choosing gigantic empires. So that's why, again, why Denmark seems so proud. So such a good idea at this point.
Have you gotten any ideas, any inspiration while staying in Denmark?
Any people who can swim in, 0-degree waters are beyond me, supermenschen. I am just a small furry individual walking amongst you. Just pet me on the head as I walk by, and then that's all I need. Talk.
You're welcome.
Definitely talk.
We came up with a good idea for a TV show last night.
Oh yeah, we were. I can't remember. I was so drunk.
Yeah, together with a young lady in the audience,
yes.
who will remain nameless because we're going to have to call her parents in a while. But we did come up with a great show where teddy bears act out all our psychological complexes and resolve them. It was very beautiful. Teddy bear relationships. Watch out for that on YouTube. There's a mother issues, father issues.
Grand uncle issues for me.
So your turn then.
Can't match that one.
And so my grandma said, she was a journalist, and she said, why don't you write a novel? You're almost 5. You should start writing a novel. If you're going to catch up to Chekhov, you better get going here. And she said, and I love this little Soviet cheese. I can't remember the name of it, but she said, I'll pay you a piece of cheese for each page you write. So I started going crazy, and I wrote, it was like 100 pages, and it was about Lenin meeting a magical goose, and together they invade Finland and try to create a socialist revolution there. And then there's a political argument, and Lenin eats the goose. And my grandmother was like, we take that part out. So since then, I realized that you can get paid in cheese for writing, and today my Danish publisher still pays me in cheese. In the morning I get this gigantic roll of cheese. It's actually not that big.
That's why our book tours are so interesting. Eh? Denmark, Switzerland, France. Cheddar, we have a reading in Cheddar next week.
My Gouda reading sold out.
We haven't had a shit for 20 years, but that's okay.
I know professors of English literature who tell me I can't read a book anymore. I just don't have the capacity to read
Really?
an entire
They haven't
book.
got the staying power?
No, only a very short book.
A pamphlet.
A pamphlet, you know, a train schedule. But even that gets so hard, you're like, wait, departs Manhattan? Oh, God, I don't know how that works. You know, we're constantly bombarded by little packets of information as white-collar workers or whatever the hell we are. And then we walk home, and the last thing we want to do is pick up more information, this time on a printed page. That's why I think shows like The Wire, The Sopranos, all these shows that are like novels in and of themselves and are often written by novelists like Richard Price. And I think that's why they do so well. They sustain our need for narrative, but at the same time, it's a passive entertainment. You're sitting back and you're watching it happen.
Yeah.
Reading a book requires something really scary. I mean, it's a really high technology. You're supposed to give up your own personality in a way and enter the personality, the brain of another human being, even if you hate that human being. But I think, what other way am I going to learn what it's like to be a Pakistani immigrant in Greenland unless I, you know, pick up a book and read from that perspective?
Yeah. No, I think there's a very good argument for that being. I mean, on one hand, it's just a different way of dealing with information, but on another hand, that you have to agree that to lose yourself inside a book is to experience that completely,
Yes.
and to suffer the heartbeats of a character. And it's because the book doesn't put the picture in front of you. You use your own brain to make the pictures and to make the feelings.
In America, and I don't know if the same applies to the United Kingdom or an advanced country like Denmark, but in America there are more writers now than readers because everybody wants to write. You know, we're a culture of endless self-expression, and to be a reader is sort of it's so fey. But to be a writer is to be strong. So we have people who come into who want to learn writing who have never read a book, you know. And there's a great magazine in Oregon called Tin House, a literary magazine, and their rule is if you want to submit your story or your poem, you have to submit a receipt from a bookstore showing that you've bought a book in the last 3 months.
Really?
And that is genius. Perfect. And all magazines should have this law now.
Yeah. There's probably a place where you can download the fake receipt as well. You know?
For my book, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, boss.
Always a pleasure.
Like a tennis match.